Welcome to World Ocean Day. My name's Esther and I'm here from the Ocean Conservation Trust at our Centre of Ocean Excellence, the National Marine Aquarium. And what better way is to start celebrating World Ocean Day than where it all began for most of us. And that's with our trouser cuffs rolled up, exploring the rock pools down on the rocky shore. Now just outside our building here, we've got some rocky shore, and as many of you know, when it's time to go rock pooling, it's really important, not just for your safety, to check the tide times. And that's also because there won't actually be any rock pools to explore at high tide. So just like right now, there's normally some seals splashing about out there, but to find out what might be living in our local rocky shores, we're going to need to head into the aquarium and have a little look. So we're really lucky that Husbandry have been refurbishing one of our tanks, and what they've done is put some of the creatures from one of our tanks into a little temporary rock pool for us to have a little explore. So can some of you, all you students who are back at school joining us, all of you learning from home, preschoolers, parents, teachers, can you tell us what we might be able to find when we explore one of our local rock pools? So have a little think and maybe what challenges the animals in here might have to face. Thank you, Helen. We've just got this all set up for us. So a lot of things residents have on our tidal tank, and they're classic local residents that you would find just off our shore outside the aquarium. We've kept them oxygenated. I'll just take that out for now or explore it. And what we're going to be doing is having a little look and seeing what we might find. Now a lot of you are probably commenting and telling me all your favourites if you've been out exploring. If you're not near the sea, don't worry, there's local river ecosystems with freshwater species. But as many of you know, the best way to start exploring a rock pool is with patience. So you step back and you take your time and see what you can see just by looking. Because if you just plunge in there and start splashing and stomping around, you might think there's nothing in there. But actually, there's a huge amount of life in this dynamic ecosystem. But they're really good at hiding. And that's because they have to hide from predators like seagulls and cormorants that might come and grab them out of their little hidey holes. So we need to go in gently and have a little look at what we can find. Right here, we've actually just got some shells we can look at. These are cockle shells, a little bivalve that are good food for many of the animals that live in a rock pool. And we'll be looking at some of those later when we get onto our feeding of our wave tank. We've also got here a little flat periwinkle. There's a little gastropod that hunts around, a little herbivorous mollusk, and they sort of tramp around and they'll feed off of this stuff. This is bladderwrack, Fucus vesiculosus, a lovely type of seaweed. And it's a really good place to start when you're rock pooling because it's actually the start of the food chain when you're in a rock pool. And that is fantastic because it's where it all begins, and it's a great place to see all these little gastropods hiding away underneath. And you can actually pull it up aside. Oh, we've also got a little crab. We'll have a look at him in a moment. We've got some flat periwinkles. We've also got some dog whelks hiding around. And the nice thing is you can even find some shells and look inside them and see if there's little hermit crabs hiding, like in this guy here. Let's have a little look. You can hold them up. You have to be really careful when you're rock pooling to make sure you put things back where you find them. But here, you can just see the little hermit crab sticking out there. He might come out and say hello. And the nice thing about these is that you can pick them up. They're quite hardy little creatures. Like I say, they're used to hiding from predators. So as long as you're gentle and you make sure you put them back where you found them, he was camouflaged over here on the sand. We'll just pop him back on there gently and he can settle in over there. What else can we have a little look for? I hope you're all telling me what you think we might find in here. We've got some coiled top shells as well. Those are often the ones that people think are really pretty. Remember to check inside before you take anything out because you don't want to be pulling someone's home up. Little coiled top shells, really beautiful biodiversity hiding in these rock pools as well. Now we just saw, a little pull apart. Now some of you can see have said that you can flip over rocks when you're looking in a rock pool. You can, just make sure you don't pick one that's too big. You might squash your fingers or squash something that's living underneath. But you can actually pull up and see what's moving under there. Oh, we've got a little shanny. I don't know if you spotted him. And there's also some prawns darting about in here. I'll see if I can find some prawns for you to have a look at. They're very translucent and they can sometimes have bright green and red stripes on their backs, which is fantastic because it makes them stand out against the sand. There's a little one there, but he's so camouflaged. Like I say, these are masters of disguise. There's one just there next to the crab. They're absolute masters of disguise, and although they're at the bottom of this food chain, they're little scavengers, omnivorous scavengers, they're actually bolshy little fellas. And you might well have felt them when you're in the rock pools, because they'll come and tickle your toes and give your little fingernails a little clean, like this one's doing now to me. They're little cleaners. They'll come and clean your fingers. They're quite confident little fellas. We've even got some pollocks swimming around over here. I don't know if you can see that, the droplets. They're camouflaged against the black of the tank in our little toddler pool here. Now I can see lots of you are excited about crabs. I know a lot of you, when you're going rock pooling, that's what you want to have a look at. So we'll see if we can find that guy that was hiding in here. When you do go rock pooling, do be careful when you pull up a rock, because you won't know what you might find. But if you're quick and gentle, you can sometimes catch one of these little guys. Oh, this is a crab here, you can see him there, trying to escape a little bit. Now, the best way with a crab to avoid getting a pinch is hold it like a biscuit hold, a finger and a thumb on either side of its carapace like that. That way, he's not like a spider crab, he can't reach behind him and give you a pinch. And you can just hold him gently like that, and he's happy, and you can ID him easily that way. These ones are shore crabs, clearly identifiable by their greenish brown appearance, and they're 5 little spikes either side of their eyes. So you get a 5-3-5 arrangement on their carapace there. So those are shore crab, the most commonly found crab in our local rock pools. So those are very familiar to many of you. We'll just pop him back where we found him. There you go, little guy. And he'll just hide under there. We'll see what else we can find. Crabs are a great thing to have a little look for. So if we're gentle, oh, just letting the top shell go there. What have we got under here? Hey, little guy. Let's just poke him out. This one, oh, he's only little, so this one's actually okay to lift up. This is an edible crab. Now, these ones will give you a nasty pinch, so again, go for that biscuit hold, because unlike a spider crab, they can't reach behind them. And this one's an edible crab, that sort of brownish red colour you can see. And they are really common in our little rock pools, but just make sure if you find a big one in an overhang that you just watch it from a distance, because they can give it a bit of a pinch. We've got some limpet shells here as well. These ones will be hard stuck to the rocks, and those are really cool because they'll be hunting around and feeding when the tide's up, and then as the tide goes out, they'll go back to their home scar following their slimy trail and bed back in. So actually don't think that the rocks are a boring part. They're covered in barnacles as well, and barnacles are actually tiny little feeders that are really active when the tide's up, and when the tide goes out, they just look a bit plain, but really they're a really key part of the ecosystem here. Now those crabs, they looked pretty confident and like you'd think they're quite a big part of the food chain, but actually they're vulnerable to a funny kind of parasite called the crab hacker barnacle, which actually lays its eggs inside a crab, which is quite cheeky really. Now this is quite a rare little guy I've just found under that rock. Can you see him? He's not pinching me. This is a furrowed crab. You can see from its slightly yellowish and lobed, like granular texture almost. So you'll be very lucky if you find one of these. Has anyone ever found one of these? Let us know in the comments if you have. I'll just pop him back. He's getting a bit nervous. But again, if they're little, you can just handle them gently and make sure you put them back. I'll put them next to that little whelk there. Whelks are those little gastropods, so slightly elongated shells, so you can tell them apart from those flat periwinkles. Now this is some people's favourites. The starfish, our common starfish. I know a lot of you like those ones. They are very common in our rock pools. Probably best to view them in situ because you don't really want to go pulling them up and pulling off those lovely podia, their little tube feet you can see suckering onto the weed there. So it's best to just observe them from afar. You might be lucky when you turn over a rock to find maybe a little cushion star like this guy under here. Can you see that? If you turn over a rock, you can see cushion stars on top, and you can get a bit closer look at their body structure. You don't need to worry about disturbing some of the larger fellas. And there's actually one there as well. So you never know what you might find, but just remember when you do, pick a rock that isn't too big. You're not going to squash your fingers or worse, any of the creatures in there. And then you can pop it back when you've had a little look at their structure. Right, we've got time for one more thing in here, which I'll have a look for. If you ever go rock pooling and you do want to know what to ID, and you can't go with one of our biologists, and You can book in to come with one of us sometime once we reopen. With our schools team, we've got some amazing people here who can take you rock pooling. But until then, you could grab hold of an ID key. Marine Biological Association do a great one, also Wildlife Trust as well. So grab hold of one of those, get your shoes on because you don't want to get slipping around in a rock pool and hurting yourself. So wear some secure shoes and that'll keep you safe from a weaver fish, but there's nothing particularly dangerous. The biggest danger in a rock pool is that you're not going to want to leave. So that's the only thing to worry about. I'm just going to have a little look here. Now I was saying about Masters of Disguise. This just looks like some humble little bit of seaweed here. But actually, if you look a bit closer, there's something that is cunningly disguised in there. And I can pick these guys up. They're very hardy. I don't know if you spotted them yet. I don't even know if our cameraman knows what we're looking at. I'm going to pick him up. This is called, oh, he's cheeky. This is where you'll need to get your really good rock pooling skills on. If you're able to catch one of these, I'll be really impressed. This is called a worm pipefish. And they've actually got quite a hard skeleton. They're related to seahorses. And can you see him there, just swimming around on my hand? And they're quite hardy creatures, and they are really cool if you manage to catch one of those, because as you saw, they're really well camouflaged in the tank there. I'll just pop him back there. You can see his long tube-like mouth. And as soon as he's in, he blends right in with the weed. It's quite clever. Here he is swimming along towards our little pollock in the corner there. And of course our little hermit crab we saw earlier, he's just sitting large as life there. Quite happy because he's got his safe little shell to hide into. The starfish is coming to say hello. Going for a little walk. So we're going to leave these for our husbandry team to get them back on display. Thank you for that, Helen. We'll just pop their air back in until they're back on their display tank. Keep them all happy. And we're going to head on through to our wave tank to do a little bit of live feeding. So, just like to say a huge welcome. If you're sitting still, you've been sat still for a while, give us a big stretch out like a starfish, maybe curl up like a hermit crab, give us a wiggle like a little worm pipefish. So, get yourself moving, get celebrating our ocean while we see what's moving in this tank. You can see there's a lot of movement going on because they are very hungry. And this is our wave tank. We've got some grey mullet in here, some goatfish, and they are so ready for their food. They're practically jumping out at me. So we've got in here for them some chopped up squid for their smaller mouths, some bigger chunks, and some food as well for our starfish, which I'll show you in a moment. So I'm just going to give these hungry guys a scatter feed, just to keep them busy. And what that does is that keeps them distracted while I can feed some of our shyer animals. There we go. So that'll keep them happy. I'm just going to get my tongs and have a look for some of our quieter animals. And here is one of our key guys. I bet you all know who that is. He's a very popular member of our aquarium. This is Denzel, our boarfish. And he's certainly Mark is our curator's favourite. He definitely likes him. And it's important that we target feed him because he's a bit slower, can get scared off some of the bigger animals, can scare him off. So it's important that we make sure he gets fed. You can see he's getting a bit nervous there. And I can let you in on a little secret. Our Denzel, our boarfish, is hopefully going to get a few friends in here, some friend boarfish soon. Oh, didn't like that bit. So they're just maturing on one of our smaller tanks and they'll be coming to join him so he doesn't feel so alone. There's Denzel. We're just going to pop over here and find our stingray. He's just sitting up here. Now a lot of you all know this guy because if you've visited us, he does love to give us a splash. He's just sitting there on the rocks. And he is a bit of a messy eater, and he's only got a small little mouth and a small teeth, so we need to get it right underneath his fins like that, so down to his mouth underneath on his posterior side there. And he'll have a munch down on that. He definitely likes to splash sometimes, but he's keeping busy with his breakfast. It's our common stingray. You'll be lucky to find one of these maybe slightly deeper out from the shallow sides. We've also got some starfish here. You can see all their little tube feet I was telling you about earlier, and I'm sure you've seen on one of our previous videos them getting fed. They get these lovely bivalves, these little mollusks that come in a little shell you can pull apart. You can see the little mollusk inside, and that's what they suck out to eat. And this is a cockle. We just placed one of those on their arms, and the nice thing is it's like a pre-packaged lunch, a little bit of breakfast for them that the other animals can't come and steal, which is quite handy really because they're a bit slower. So we'll just pop some of those on as we go along. And they can start feeding that. At the end we might be able to see one of them creeping over it with its little podia. It starts to taste it and starts moving pretty quickly towards it. Now those of you who've got some good eyes have probably spotted we've also got some masters of camouflage in here as well, and those are our flatfish. Have you seen him yet? We've got our little place here. Now our place is a little flatfish hiding down on the gravel there. He's hopefully quite hungry. There he goes. Yep. Having a little munch. And he does look very funny because he's lying on his side. And that is because flatfish, as some of you know, they start their lives a very different way. Do any of you know how they start their lives? Yeah, I can see some of you saying, yeah, they start their lives swimming vertically in the water column. And then after a few weeks, they start to mature and then they flop over to their side. And not only do they change colour to blend in, so their bellies go a bit pale like the sand, but they also get an eye that migrates round to the other side. So they kind of get that funny little squashed look. Here he comes. Very funny creatures. So I'll just give a little cockle to this starfish here. Now, if you're enjoying our live feeds, remember to stay with us later on. We do have some more live feeds coming up later in the day on our NMA Facebook page, which will be a great way to explore our aquarium and some of the other areas as well. I'm just going to give a bit more of a scatter feed. And our cuckoo rat as well is going to come up and have a little bit of food. Okay. So 11 AM if you want to see us feeding our sharks, and also our green turtle Friday, our cheeky green turtle. You can have a little watch of that. Just going to have a little look at some of the questions coming in. Some of you want to know if we're going to be able to open soon. Well, you have to keep your eyes peeled for that one. It should be coming soon, but I know you're all eager to come and have a look at these things up close for yourself. And I know for sure the animals are looking forward to it too. So yeah, keep your eyes on that one for us. It's going to be really important to have a look. Let's just see if our stingray wants a little bit more food. Messy eater that we got there. Okay, so nearly finished feeding all the starfish. You can just see some of them moving there to get over their cockle. And as a lot of you know, they have a very disgusting way of eating. I'm sure you heard about it. You can put in the comments below, tell us all about it. What's their disgusting way of eating with those bivalves? They're pretty funny guys. So have a little look, let us know what you know, and then you can come and see it live yourself when we reopen. Give them a little bit more food. We've also got some really shy ballan wrasse in here. He's got his bit of food there. The mullet are trying to steal it off our stingray. I told you that we need to keep them busy. They're quite bolshy little fellas. We've also got some spider crabs hiding in here. Now those are the ones you don't want to pick up with a biscuit grip because they can reach behind their head and give you a little pinch. A little goatfish just feeding along the bottom there, looking for some food. Denzel's still hungry. There you go, little guy. Now Denzel would actually live a little bit deeper down from the rocky shore, and you can see those really big dark eyes. That helps him see when he's deeper down where there's less light. That's why he's a little bit shy as well, because it's quite bright in this tank. But he's happy. We've got lots of little hidey holes modelled on our local rocky shore. The local indigenous species of weed. And some nice rocky outcrops for him to hide in. So if you're just joining us and just tuning in, I'm Esther from the Ocean Conservation Trust, who runs our beautiful Centre of Ocean Excellence here, the National Marine Aquarium, which is where you're joining us here at our wave tank, just giving them their little morning feed, a bit of breakfast, which I hope you're all enjoying yourselves. Unless, of course, you're back at school, in which case, super welcome to you guys. Tell us where you are, where you're joining us from. You might be some of the schools that we've managed to host here with our education team, and we really miss you. So we're super looking forward to having you back soon, I hope. If you're keen to come rockpooling like we did earlier, do get booked in and come rockpooling with us when we reopen. There's some great places to explore. And today is all about connecting with our oceans. That's what we're all about. And all the ocean is connected. So if you're not by the seashore, don't worry, find a river. There's freshwater ecosystems as well. So find out what you can get involved with. And even if you're not near the water, get involved some other way. We've got lots of super activities lined up today. And on our Ocean Conservation Trust Learning Portal. But today on its own, we've got some huge amounts of things. Workshops, creative crafts, and some live feeds as well. Up next, we've got Sarah Campbell as well, who's going to be teaching us about breathing, doing our dolphin breath. So I hope you're getting your lungs ready for that. I don't know if you're getting hungry watching these guys feed. There's our beautiful cuckoo wrasse, one of the females. Just trying to feed one of our ballan wrasse. They're really shy and they hide out in these dark outcrops. If you ever go snorkeling, I mean, we're not doing a snorkeling safari today, although it probably would have been if we tried to go rock pooling. It's high tide at the moment, but you might see one of these hiding under the rocks. I'm just going to see if I can get him out. He just had a little bit just now, so that might be it. There he goes. There's one. They're very shy. So we're just going to try and make sure they get fed, because as I say, as you can see, the grey mullet already trying to come and steal their food. It's really important for us here as husbandry to make sure that we monitor what everything is eating, especially these shyer, slightly slower animals, to ensure they're staying healthy and getting what they would get just as they would in the wild. So just want to make sure they've had their feed. If they're happy, we can make sure the others get some more. Denzel's following me around. Here you go, Denzel. I know if Marcus is watching, he'll be wanting you getting lots. He loves you. And I know lots of our viewers do too. Our little boarfish Denzel, if you're just joining us, you haven't seen him yet. You can really see why we need to target feed him. All these grey mullet getting involved. Still wanting some breakfast. I wonder how many of you are eating squid for breakfast, like these guys are. Now, a lot of you probably are surprised by how much diversity that we have right off our shores here in Plymouth and all around the British coast. But you can find so much just with your trouser cuffs rolled up and just having a little explore in the rock pools. Remembering to be patient. I hope it's inspired you to go and explore some rocky shores. But keep yourself safe, check the tide times, make sure there's some rock pools to explore. And let us know what you find. See if you find something unusual or anything you want help IDing with. Send it in to us here and we'll let you know. The Ocean Conservation Trust love responding to your comments and your inquiries, so please let us know. And I hope this has inspired you to connect with our oceans. And there's lots more to do that with today. You can get involved with our workshops, you can get involved with our creative crafts, And we've got 1 o'clock habitat hats activity, which some of you who started at the beginning of this video will know you spotted on top of Denzel. He's wearing one just over here. So if you want to make a really fabulous ocean-inspired hat, a habitat hat, join us at 1 o'clock. There's a little creative craft workshop for you to get involved with then. In the meantime, we've got Sarah Campbell doing some dolphin breath next, so join us with that. And then at 10:30, a pollution problems workshop, some science to get involved with, and lots more activities on the World Ocean Day for Schools website. Later on, live shark feeding and our cheeky turtle Friday is going to be fed. So join us then. And summing it all up for those budding marine biologists out there, join us at 2 o'clock where we'll be getting wet and we're going to be going diving, and you'll join me for some communication, some underwater communication. So make sure you tune in at 2 o'clock for that one. It's been superb to have you here with me. I hope you know that any activities on, in, under or near water will really benefit you and will champion our oceans, which is what today is all about. I hope that you're inspired and that the mystery of the ocean, which increases my curiosity and my love for it, has really joined you today and you want to get involved as well. It's been fantastic to have you here with us, here at the National Marine Aquarium. From me, from the Ocean Conservation Trust, thank you so much. See you soon.